this week's yet another challenge week. I jumped into a secret Valentine kind of a drawing thing, and the name that I drew was R.L. King. Although by announcing this, I guess I'm kind of giving away the whole secret part of the secret Valentine, but I'm not going to go there. So he does internet movie reviews of classic movies, so I figured in his honor I would do a movie review kind of in his style, hence the shirt. Well, the thing is though, I hate movies. I can't stand movies, but that's another thing yet unto itself. So I understand that would make a really good hate review, which seems to be very popular, but that's not really my style. So instead, I figured I'd show you guys a movie that I actually kind of enjoyed and something that actually has taught me quite a lot on how to make internet movies. So sit back and relax because this week we are doing a movie review of The Wizard of Speed and Time. I should also say this before we begin, no spoilers. You see, one of my pet peeves in the reviewing community is that these guys don't review as much as they tell you everything that happens in the movie from beginning to end. There's no mystery involved. Now, if it's a bad film, you just save me a couple hours and some money, so thank you guys very much. But if it's a really good film, I would like to experience it for myself. And this is one of those films that I actually want you to watch, not just watch this review and feel like you already did. But there's some history with this, so punch the Wayback Machine. We're going back to the 70s. I remember as a kid watching this on television. Barely. It wasn't until years later in a mass media class in high school that I saw it again. A good friend of mine had a VHS copy of a copy of a copy, which is actually how I found the movie. So I don't want to hear any complaints about low video quality on the internet. Ow. The Wizard short was made by Mike Jitlov in 1979. In 1983, he had the opportunity to remake it as a feature-length film. The movie isn't about the wizard character, it's about Hollywood.
There's a magic place that can glorify your face. All it takes is cash and talent. You could star in Hollywood.
The movie cuts pretty close to the bone in its comedy. Mike plays himself as an amateur movie producer.
I'm a filmmaker, I make films.
Whose work gets noticed by a television producer working on a show about special effects. After showing a demo reel that doesn't go all that well.
No! Mike, you can't go in there! Who do you think you're turning down a job? Don't pull that! No! This is a class show. Hollywood's greatest effects. No, don't cut it! So, Mr. Big Shot, you don't want to do titles. What the hell do you want to do?
What do I want to do? I'll show you what I want to do. I want to do this.
He drops off a script for a movie that he wants to make. The two producers, Lucky Stryker and Harvey Bookman, make a simple wager on the show.
I bet he couldn't even turn out anything we could use.
Oh, man, you got yourself a bet.
Oh, yeah? What do you want to bet? 1,000? 5,000?
Oh, Harvey, don't be a piker.
I'll bet you my salary for the entire show.
$25,000.
$25,000.
And you can tell pretty much who the main bad guy is going to be. Bookman decides he's going to try to throw the competition as early as he can.
What's the hardest kind of special effect?
Stop motion with pixelation.
That's it. That's exactly what I want.
What, stop-motion dinosaurs?
No, Big. I want it full size. Lights, camera, action. You're a filmmaker. I want to see an entire film studio come to life.
The rest of the movie is almost too close to reality to call it satire. Everything is literally working against Mike to stop him from successfully making his short film. Anyone who's had a video blocked on YouTube because of copyright violations knows exactly what this is like. Mike has to overcome not being in a union.
What is your classification?
Well, I'm directing special effects with a small crew.
Well, then you must have an assistant director, second AD, and UPM, all signed with a DUA.
All I'm directing is animation.
Well, then discuss that with the Animators Union.
Using outside music.
Oh, wait a minute. I got my special music before I can even do the animation.
Not having permits to film.
Mike, you've got a permit in case the police stop us, right? Permit? What permit? Didn't you pack a permit? I knew we forgot something. It's a public park. Everybody takes pictures here.
And having zero budget.
Here we go. Get your ancient comic books. Cover prize.
Not to mention Bookman actively trying to stop him every step of the way.
You guys like to make some real money, like $500 each.
Oh, no, man, we're just boosters. We're not into offing anyone.
Guns are knives.
But by being creative, resourceful, and downright persistent, Mike carries on in spite of all the hardships.
This is a job for
Green power.
He, of course, has his friends to help him out.
Yes, Master Wizard.
Oh, come on, Brian. This is animation history.
It's Niagara Falls, Michael.
And a love interest named Cindy who gets caught up in this whirlwind of insanity.
Are movies the only way you can touch people?
They're the safest way.
So in a way, this is really an old story. It's the little guy fighting the system in order to bring something good into the world. And there's a love story involved that does not really feel shoehorned in. It actually does kind of fit. But one thing I really like watching this movie, and repeatedly watching this movie for, is the subtle comedy. You know, the fact that they don't use a clue by four in order to beat you over the head with the jokes. Unlike some movies I could mention. There are a lot of visual jokes in this movie that catch you off guard and might make you rewind just to see it again. There's also a lot of very talented actors in small parts that show up.
Look, here's a list of the visuals. Send us a bid on what you can do and put your reel in that pile. Okay?
So, what's your animation classification, huh?
It's also nice to see a movie in which the special effects enhance the plot and aren't just there to make a nice trailer.
Excuse me.
It's also worth mentioning that Mike Jitlov did most of the special effects work himself by hand. This is actually how he did it back in the day. There's even a small jab at ancient CGI, too.
Better take a look at these effect prices.
Don't talk about prices. I need production value. This has got to be big time. I need you. These are the problems.
The end result is phenomenal, even by today's standards. But it's this by-hand property that let him add subliminals to the end product. There are a lot in the movie, and don't worry, none of them are evil. Just to give you a hint how to find them, here's one sequence from the movie.
Get in the way, and who knows, you might be in the movies.
Well, lady, you haven't paid your taxes for over 2 weeks.
Did you catch it? Here, let me stop the video for you. If you can't read it, it's probably the video quality, but there are words in that splat, and there's one on the next one as well. Most of the subliminals are in the final sequence, but they're all very positive messages. This movie is also a great filmmaking 101 experience, so if you make internet videos with zero budget, watch this film.
I'll bet you couldn't even make a real movie with bedroom scenes, chase scenes, crowd scenes, music. You gotta have wide shots, 2 shots, medium shots, close-ups, ECUs, over the shoulders, sync sound. You're just an effects man.
If you look at this movie as a teaching tool, it shows a lot of techniques in how to pull the most from your camera work in editing.
Whiz, they just disappeared. I can't see them anywhere. Hey, let's land on that big green plastic rock. Yeah.
Maybe a complete insanity.
All right, I got another plan.
What?
What? Run away! Run away! Run away!
There isn't a wasted shot in this film. Editing is chaotic when it needs to be and long and sweeping when it doesn't. It also makes mention of a few issues that I've had to deal with myself while doing this show.
Sound blimping with a $20 sleeping bag?
Well, when we get the feature budget, we can use $100 bags.
But I'm happy to say that I fixed the problem with my computer, and there really hasn't been any problem since. Ow. My wallet. Also, watching it over 20 years after it's come out, some of the movie is actually pretty pathetic.
I wonder how many other people are out there writing stories and scripts that nobody else may ever read, making movies that nobody may ever see.
I can only wonder what Mike Jitlov would be able to do with the resources like YouTube or Blip. I can also say that the movie has influenced a lot of people over the years, myself included. One of the nicer homages that I've found came from Justice League Unlimited. Now compare that to the original. It's easy enough to see. So hopefully I've managed to make you interested to actually watching this film, and you're thinking, wow, this is kind of cool, where can I see this? Well, that's where things get a little difficult. There was a limited theatrical release in 1989, and by limited, I mean even more limited than the so-called theatrical release of Tiny Toons How I Spent My Summer Vacation. I'm not a fan of piracy, but in the case of Wizard at Speed and Time, well, let's just say that Mike Jitlov wants people to see the movie. Fans of the film have made it available to watch on YouTube with Jitlov's apparent approval. There are also supposedly VHS copies floating around, but I've never been able to find one, and even if I did, I don't even have a VHS machine to play it on anymore. Apparently there's also a large DVD image file floating around somewhere on the PTP networks, but I can't vouch for those being reliable sources. If a real DVD ever comes out, I'm gonna buy one. So the best place to actually watch this film is pretty much anywhere that happens to have an internet connection. Now, I will admit, this film is kind of cheesy at points, and some of the jokes borderline on pun-ishment, but it's really a feel-good film, and it's something that I like to watch whenever I need a pick-me-up, or whenever I feel like I need to be inspired. And I think that's something that you would probably enjoy, too. Wow, an internet review about a movie that isn't negative and doesn't include profanity. How'd that happen?
Hey, you still up there?
What's new, Pussycat?
You never quite explained how I got this shirt.
Oh yeah, I made it for you in World.
Well, how'd you do that?